In this video, we're going to explore the chilling saga of Kenneth Allen McDuff, a dangerous criminal whose name is synonymous with terror in Texas and who was ultimately sentenced to death by lethal injection. Join us as we delve into his shocking crimes, the elusive justice he faced, his last meal, and his haunting final words. Kenneth Allen McDuff, one of Texas's most notorious serial killers, left an indelible mark on American legal history. He's infamous not just for the sheer brutality of his crimes, but also for an astonishing and tragic fact. He escaped the death penalty once, only to tragically re-offend. McDuff's life and horrific acts serve as a chilling reminder of flaws within the justice system and underscore the paramount importance of justice for victims. Born on the 21st of March, 1946, in Rosebud, Texas, McDuff quickly showed disturbing behaviors. His criminal record began at age 18, with a string of burglaries and break-ins in 1964. He was convicted on multiple counts, but shockingly, he was paroled in December 1965 after serving a minimal sentence. This early release, a decision that would haunt Texas for decades, paved the way for his future, more gruesome crimes. Just months after his initial parole, McDuff committed his first heinous act, forever known as the broomstick murders. On the 6th of August, 1966, McDuff, along with an accomplice, abducted 3 teenagers, 17-year-old Robert Brand, his 16-year-old girlfriend Edna Louise Sullivan, and Robert's 15-year-old cousin, Mark Dunham, from a basketball court in Everman, Texas. The horror unfolded swiftly. McDuff shot and killed Robert Brand and Mark Dunham in the trunk of their own car. Edna Sullivan was then subjected to repeated sexual assault by both McDuff and his accomplice, before McDuff strangled her to death with a 3-foot broomstick. Her body was later discovered, discarded in a thicket. The investigation led to a confession from McDuff's accomplice, solidifying the evidence against him and leading to McDuff's arrest and subsequent death sentence in 1967. However, the legal landscape of capital punishment was about to shift. In 1972, due to the landmark Furman v. Georgia ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court, which temporarily halted capital punishment nationwide, McDuff's death sentence was commuted to life in prison. A technicality offered him a second chance, a chance he would exploit with devastating consequences. Incredibly, despite the horrific nature of his crimes, Kenneth Allen McDuff was paroled in October 1989, after serving only 22 years of his commuted life sentence. The decision to release such a brutal killer sparked immediate outrage across Texas and remains one of the most controversial parole decisions in the state's history. Their fears were tragically realized. A mere 3 days after his release, the cold-blooded monster resurfaced, and McDuff resumed his murderous rampage. His targets were often young women, abducted and murdered with a chilling consistency. In 1991, McDuff abducted 36-year-old Brenda Thompson in Waco. Brenda, with incredible bravery, attempted a desperate escape by kicking out the windshield of McDuff's truck near a police checkpoint. McDuff, undeterred, fled the scene with her still in his grasp, and later tragically murdered her in a secluded, wooded area. Her body was found days later. Just days after Brenda Thompson's murder, McDuff abducted and murdered 21-year-old Virginia Deanne Moore. One of the most high-profile cases from this period was the abduction of 28-year-old Colleen Reed. On the 29th of December, 1991, McDuff, again with an accomplice, abducted Colleen from an Austin car wash. She was sexually assaulted, tortured, and ultimately strangled to death by McDuff. Her remains were not found until much later. This particular case would later be instrumental in securing his second death sentence. In 1992, McDuff's crime spree continued. Valencia Joshua, 22, became his next victim, murdered at McDuff's home. Soon after, Melissa Northrup, a 22-year-old pregnant sales clerk, was abducted from a Waco convenience store and murdered. These cases, spanning multiple counties, showed a killer with absolutely no remorse or rehabilitation. He was a predator, unleashed, and relentlessly hunting. McDuff's continued killing spree after his parole placed immense pressure on Texas law enforcement agencies. The investigation was challenging due to the disparate locations of the crimes. However, crucial information provided by another accomplice, who implicated McDuff in several of the recent murders, finally allowed police to identify him as the perpetrator. On the 6th of March, 1992, a federal arrest warrant was issued for McDuff. Sensing the tightening net, McDuff fled the state, heading to Kansas City, Missouri, where he attempted to live under an alias. But he couldn't evade it forever. The powerful reach of television played a critical role. Thanks to the popular true crime show America's Most Wanted, which featured McDuff's profile, a crucial tip came in from a coworker who recognized him. On May 4, 1992, a determined team of officers, including, remarkably, the sons of the very officers who had arrested him back in 1966, apprehended McDuff. This generational connection added an almost poetic sense of closure to his capture. McDuff's subsequent trials were a protracted and grueling process, taking place in multiple Texas locations. Prosecutors relentlessly emphasized his unforgivable brutality and extensive criminal history, arguing with compelling evidence that his parole had been a deadly mistake. In 1993, McDuff was sentenced to death for the second time for the murder of Colleen Reed. This was followed by other convictions related to Melissa Northrup and other victims. The judges involved were unsparing in their condemnation, with one famously calling him a monster without humanity. On the 17th of November, 1998, after years of appeals and legal battles, Kenneth Allen McDuff finally faced execution by lethal injection at the Huntsville unit in Texas, the state's primary execution chamber. In the hours leading up to his execution, he was offered a traditional last meal. His request was simple: 2 pieces of fried chicken, a serving of French fries, and a can of Coca-Cola. When asked for his final words, a moment often used by condemned prisoners for remorse or apology, McDuff offered nothing of the sort. He showed no remorse, no regret, no glimmer of humanity. His chillingly terse response was simply, "I'm ready." He was pronounced dead minutes after the injection, bringing an end to a life marked by unimaginable violence and depravity. McDuff's death brought relief to victims' families, ending their nightmare. Beyond his execution, his case left a lasting legacy, prompting vital reforms in Texas's parole system. These McDuff Laws tightened parole criteria for violent offenders, serving as a painful but necessary lesson to prevent future tragedies. McDuff's story serves as a chilling reminder of humanity's darker side and the critical need for a vigilant justice system. What do you think turned McDuff into such a monster? And what can we learn from his case? Let us know in the comments.